What's up, everybody? Viktor here, and it's time for a nation guide for Mewar. Now, for those of you who only play in Europe, or just don't play multiplayer games, Mewar is one of those tags that usually is a first draft pick in a multiplayer game because almost all of your national ideas are military-oriented, meaning you have a stupidly strong army throughout the game, but you're even able to keep up with people like Prussia or France in the late game, which is truly great. So if you're going to be playing a multiplayer game, or you're looking for a single-player game where you just have stack wipes everywhere with your Space Marines, and you have a lot of them because you're generally going to have all of India under your belt by the time you end up meeting any European, yeah, Mewar is definitely for you. And for those of you who haven't done it yet, there's actually an achievement for Mewar, where you just have to complete their mission tree. And to highlight, yet again, how much it is mainly military that Mewar is there for, this mission right here requires you to get to 125% discipline, which is not that difficult to get to as Mewar. But with all of that being said, let's get started with the actual guide. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about, of course, is the estates and privileges. For the most part, this is a standard start, so go ahead and grant whatever you feel like granting that you are comfortable with. It's not going to change your game. That being said, there are two exceptions to this. First off, religious diplomats. This gives you that plus 25 opinion modifier, which allows you to get allies easier. If you do not grant this, you will not be able to do what I do diplomatically. And what I'm going to do is get one of the strongest tags in India to ally me within 2 months of the game. If you don't grant this privilege, you're not likely to get them as an ally within 2 or 3 years. So I would really recommend you grant this privilege, but you don't have to if you want to take the risk that somebody's going to attack you. The other privilege is the established Rajput regiments. So what Rajput regiments are is they're normal infantry units, except they have 5% added discipline, meaning they're great for late game, but early game they don't really matter that much. The reason why you're granting this now is because it exempts them from seized land. And that seized land, the crown land that they own, impacts their influence level. And their influence has to be high to complete these two missions. So if you want to complete these two missions, grant this early, because it'll make it easier to complete them, and then later on you can work on getting them reduced in their crown land, even if it means you have to revoke this privilege later on. Now, with that being said, you guys are now done talking about the estates and privileges. Now, your starting military, that's pretty quick and easy to set up. You're simply going to take your 9,000 stack here and move them over to engage this rebel stack, either in Gorwar or Barmer. It'll randomly pick one of these two provinces at the game start, so just move to the right one. Now, as far as the general, make your heir into a general, and then if he is a bad general, roll a normal general and put him in charge. The reason why is your ruler is amazing. You want to keep your ruler around, so do not make him into a general, but the heir sucks really bad. So hopefully he will die because you made him into a general, but if he's bad, it's not worth taking increased losses because he sucks to try and get him to die. So you can always disinherit him later if need be. You just don't want to do it now because that extra 50% hit is going to absolutely throw your game off. But with that, you're now done setting up your military at the start. All you're going to be doing after this point is just hiring the free company somewhere within your nation within a couple of months. That's it. There's no need to hire them now. But with that being done, your military is set up. Your starting diplomacy is, just like the military, pretty straightforward. Rival back whoever rivals you. The only one that's going to consistently rival you is Gujarat here because they have a core on you. So they want to get that back, so of course they're going to rival you. Everyone else is kind of random on if they're going to be on the list. The common ones are Delhi, Jaunpur, and Malwa. After that, you occasionally can have Sind on that list, and then rarely you'll have Batmanis or Bengal. So just whoever rivals you, just rival them back. It really doesn't matter. They're likely to ally each other anyway. As far as your allies are concerned, day one, ally Jaisalmer. The reason why is because they are pretty easy to get to allow you to just diplomatically vassalize them. So you might as well get started and not let somebody else conquer them in the meantime. After that, you're going for these two. While they will usually rival each other, you're still able to get both of them, and just like the other guys, they're pretty easy to diplo-vassalize because they're small, they're weak, and they're targeted by other people. Meaning they want you to protect them, meaning they'll let you vassalize them. With that, you're now done with the starting diplomacy. You just have to unpause and get this going. So I'm waiting to get my diplomats to end up getting these alliances, and then I'm simply going to wait. You start off with one vassal over here of Hadori, so that is why you're able to pick up the Rajput integration policy. You just don't have the second one yet to get subject integration rights. Once you can vassalize one of these guys, be sure you pick that up. But with that, it's simply now time to wait, engage the rebels here, win that battle, or until the end of the month. That way I am not in the 0 prestige range, meaning I can now go for that alliance. I'm simply going to look here and see who Vijayanagar ends up hating. In this case, they hate Gujarat, which is perfect, because I can then give myself some power projection. If they don't hate Gujarat, but it's just Batmanis and other random people, just scornfully insult Batmanis, they're not going to actually do anything about it. And then once you have done that, they should be willing to royal marry you if you took that Diplo rep. There is an occasion where you don't have to take the Diplo rep, but it's kind of random. As a result, if you want to make certain it works, take the Diplo rep. If you don't really care, it doesn't really matter that much, but this will at least tie them down, and then it'll bump you over that 100 opinion threshold, meaning they should flip to friendly and ally you the moment January starts. But just simply let this tick down, let this battle be won, and then go and remove the rebels from Marwar, and then you can seize land. At this point, it's time to simply start spying on Kuch, because they're going to be your first real target for expansion. If you have a CB through this right here, fantastic, use it. If not, then just fabricate one manually, because you want to take this land over so you can start enveloping Gujarat as much as you can before you take them on. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording now, because I need to get all of this situated. So I will see you guys in just a second. And welcome back, everybody. As you can see, I've been improving relations with my future vassals here, and it's just going to take some proclaiming guarantees, asking for trade power, giving mill access, things like that, to bump their opinion enough, or just simply improving relations, and they'll eventually fall in line and become my vassals. I do have the claim ready to go on Kuch, though. Now here's the thing, Kuch will usually not have an ally by this point, and if they do, it's usually either somebody over here, or one of the one province miners right here, so nobody really concerning. Now if it's somebody over here, it does not matter at all. If it's one of the guys over here, again, it doesn't matter at all. Just conquer it, and then you can make them a vassal if you want, but it's easier simply to core it yourself. Now here's the thing. They will almost always be guaranteed by this point by Sind. The reason why Sind knows you want to go in there, they know you want that land, and they want to stop you. Sind, however, not exactly a huge threat. Just be sure you move your army in to engage them as soon as you can, but you need to move your armies in to occupy Kuch first. The reason why is if you attack Kuch and Gujarat is at peace, they're also likely to attack Kuch. And you want to be able to have the occupation on everything, because otherwise they will take up enough war score down here to prevent you from getting what you want. So, just make sure that you occupy this land and then wipe out Sind as quickly as you can. They have a 9,000 stack army, and they will largely not be able to do much, but do what you can. Now here's the other thing I forgot to mention earlier. You do have a gold mine in your provinces, so dev this up to 10 as quickly as you can, because that way you'll be able to keep up a large army and even go over force limit if you want to be able to fight whoever you want. So just be sure you do that. That is why I have money coming in, even though I'm at force limit and I have level 1 advisors, is because I've been deving the gold mine. So just keep throwing dev in there until you hit 10 dev production. With that being said, time to go ahead and go after Kuch, so I'm going to go ahead and declare the war. I will see you guys in just a second. Oh, and just to say it, you can vassalize people in a war if you are at war, but they are not. So do not bring in any of these guys, because that way you can still vassalize them mid-war, and then they will join the war, and then you're not having to wait vassalizing anybody. So see you in a second. And welcome back, everybody. So normally what will happen is, as I said before, Gujarat will attack Kuch, so you can vassalize them, and then it'll make it into a defensive war against Gujarat that you can call Vijay into, because, again, defensive war. In this case, they decided to attack Baglana, who is allied to Malwa, so these two guys are now wasting all their troops against one another. And I still vassalize Kuch because I didn't want to core it myself at the moment, and it still gives me the force limit. And I vassalize all these other guys here that I was allied to, so I now have not only their troops I can use, but 18,000 of my own troops I can use to quickly fight people. And it's time to go in after Gujarat themselves. I fabricated a claim on Patan, but it looks like my vassal took care of some claims themselves, and it's time to go in. Now, in your game, there's two different ways you can go about doing this, or the third way, which is what I'm about to do. First is, if they attack Kuch, vassalize them, defensive war, call in VJ, and Gujarat will absolutely be ripped apart. The second is waiting until you have 10 favors with VJ, because they do want this province almost every single game. So they should be willing to come in, and if not, you can wait for favors, which don't take that long. And you can always curry favors from the beginning to have them ready by now. Or, as in this case, you'll have enough troops on your own, whereas once you take out Sind, you should be able to handle this without any backup. You should. Because while it looks like they should absolutely outnumber me, Jaunpur really won't stay in the war that long, Sind will get knocked out quickly, and there's no forts in Gujarat so you can quickly occupy them, and then focus entirely on Jaunpur. So, how you choose to do this, go ahead and do it. How good you are in the game will kind of determine that, so make your choice appropriately. But in this case, it's time to go ahead and start moving against people and get this done. So I'm going to pause the recording, see you guys in a little bit. Oh, and of course, this is why you save up on your military points, so you can do this while you're Tech 4, because you should be the only one with it. One of the other reasons why you should be able to handle it. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So this war is pretty much over, and it really didn't take very much. Given the fact I had the military tech advantage, Jaunpur did not want to engage me, so I just attacked their army, almost stack wiped it on my fort, and then just sat on this fort. Once it fell, they pieced out with a white piece. They really don't stay in that long. And then after that, it was just wiping out what was left, and that was about it. As you can see, Baglan eventually fell to Batmanis because they went in too. But now I'm able to full annex all of Gujarat, which means I'll also have this vassal right here suddenly fall under my sway as well. And I am now huge. This is why you want to stock up as much admin power and not take tech, because you're going to have to deal with this. I personally like going ahead and just doing this to not pay as much coring cost for these provinces, but you can do what you want to do. And now that I have that done, I now have one, and only one, disloyal vassal, and it's time to get him loyal just by improving relations, and waiting to integrate my other vassals. And this one's going to be the first one because I started off with him, and then just work my way through. Now I am going to be sitting back for a little bit while I do that, but that's mainly because once you annex this guy, you can actually start progressing down your mission tree, because you need these provinces first. So this is why you do it this manually way. Once that's done, you can start going into Malwa a lot, and I mean a lot easier. So just do this as soon as you can, get it cored up, expand your ability to fight, and get ready to take on bigger people like Malwa and their allies, because they usually have stronger allies than Gujarat ever hopes to. Now, once you have the land in Gujarat, there's a couple of advantages you can do with it if you choose to. First off, down here, this one province has a person with a bunch of cores on Batmanis, so if you feel the need to go into Batmanis to get them, absolutely, go ahead and do that. I would just strongly recommend integrating your other guys first and then releasing this, and you can core it in the meantime. This is not exactly a high dev province at the time. The other thing that you can do is, because I believe right here, yep, this right here is Zoroastrian, so you can use this to make Mewar into Zoroastrian because you want to come up here and get the monument. Now, is that actually that worthwhile? I don't think so, but again, it's your choice. Do what you feel like doing. And now it's simply, again, sit back and wait. Now, you did get a lot of aggressive expansion by doing that, so make sure you take your merchants here, move the one in Deccan, because it's really not doing anything for you, up here into a Doab, and just have them on improved relations, and the same up here, so you can get not only Delhi improving on the relations, but you can even get the guys over here, you can get Jaunpur, you can get everybody of any real importance other than Batmanis, who you don't really have to be that worried about because they usually just start breaking to rebels anyway. That way you can avoid coalitions, start expanding using diplomatic annexation, because these guys over here, if they're still independent, will usually take a diplomatic vassalization, even from this distance. So just keep looking around, see who you can grab. If you can, grab them. But yeah, just take your time. So I'm going to pause the recording for probably about a decade, because I need to integrate people, and then I need to get ready for my next wars. And I'll bring you guys back once I'm actually able and ready to take on the next target. See you in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So I've been waiting for this event to fire, and it has a mean time to happen of about 8 years since the start of the game, so you have to be prepared for it to happen really at any time. But this event actually has to do with this mission, and that's why I want to talk about it. You see, in order to complete this mission, you have to have your fort be level 2 in either the province of Mewar or Gorwar, and you start with both of these provinces if you recall. However, these guys will end up declaring their independence, so you'll have to fight them. Now, if you can keep your troops in the area, you'd be able to walk in without them having 100 people in the garrison and instantly take them out, which is always a nice thing to have. The thing is that if you build a fort here for this mission, they get the fort too, and the 2,000 people in the fort, meaning you're going to have to actually siege it out. Now, you can build the fort here instead, but here's the thing. Not only is this not as great of defensive land because they'll take more attrition in the desert, but on top of that, there's actually a monument here that'll increase the defensiveness here, which is always a nice thing to have when it comes to your forts, and since you get the advisor cost in there and more Rajput regiments, you're probably going to want to upgrade it anyway. So you want to have the fort in Mewar. You just want to do it after these guys fire so you can take them out quickly and then build the fort. Just wanted to point that out so you can deal with this without having any other real problems. Now, again, I'm just integrating people, so don't worry about the rest of it, but I'll be eventually going after more people, and I'm getting this guy who ended up annexing this guy as another vassal, which then will let me go after Delhi to reconquer land, as well as any claims that I get from my mission tree, because you should eventually have to push all the way up here to the north. But with that being said, see you guys in just a second. And welcome back, everybody. So I just completed my first mission here, because you had to get to 2 stability, which will give you a bunch of claims over here on Malwa, as well as the guys you've already pretty much integrated, so you're good to go then. And it's time to go after Malwa. Before you do, though, at this point, since you've already conquered this region, you're going to have this mission completed as well. And this gives you 30 army tradition. When you do this, try and make sure you have enough military points to fish for good generals, because you should be close to 80 army tradition, which means you should be able to roll some truly spectacular guys in here. I've been able to get 5 siege pips on some of these guys, so definitely have some military points to roll. But with that being done, it is now time to use these guys and go after Malwa. And again, they can have some really strong allies. In this game, they're after Jaunpur, but in most times they'll be allied to them against you, so you're going to have a bit harder of a fight, but you really shouldn't have that much difficulty. Take your claims and take these 2 provinces here, because then you should be able to continue forward, because once you have this region, you'll be getting claims on these provinces as well. And as you can see, your next mission will then have you go through here and here, so you're going to have different people to start picking off. But time to go ahead and begin and go after them, and I'm going to call in VJ just to make it easier to fight Bengal. I have to wait for my claims to appear, and then I can declare. There we go. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So I've been waiting for this event to fire before I ended up wrapping up this guide. Now that it's finally fired, let's go ahead and do so. So this event is going to end up killing your ruler. However, in order for it to fire, it still has to be your original starting ruler, and it has to be between the years 1460 and 1470, and it has a mean time to happen of 30 months, so it's pretty likely to actually fire. But again, it's going to kill them, and it's going to let you choose who is going to replace them. So this heir is not actually going to replace them if this event fires. And well, you get to know what their monarch points are. So of course you're going to pick whoever has the most. The thing is that both of these guys can suck at the same time. It's not one of them's going to be good, the other one's not. It's completely random. So as you can see, I have a 233 and a 363. Obviously, I'd go with the second. But I've seen a 111 and a 101 as my two options here, which was just a fantastic choice. The thing is, though, after I click this, I then get Pretender Rebels. You're going to have them. But these Pretender Rebels are the same guy with different stat distributions. So this is a 3-4-3. Obviously, I'd rather have my 3-6-3, but I've seen 6-5-6 come up in here, and that was the guy that was the 101 before. So be sure to come in here and check if you have somebody you don't want, or even if it's potentially somebody that you might want, because you might have better in here, though whether or not you want to let them siege out half your country to get this guy is the question. Now, as far as your future expansion and the rest of this guide, it's pretty simplistic. To the east, you'll find other small tags. A lot of them will end up accepting vassalization at this point, meaning you're able to grab them and use them as future expansion paths, either to reclaim their cores or simply to annex them later on, because a lot of your missions are going to require you to end up taking land in this area anyway. So if you're going to have to conquer Jharkhand, you might as well do it without aggressive expansion or having to waste your time, especially since right now they're adding to your force limit and it's extra people and it's extra land that the AI is going to have to go and fight before they can go and turn to you. So there's a lot of advantages to doing so. As far as the rest of them, the non-Hindu countries in the area, they're likely to hate you because you're going to have to conquer their land directly, and since you're fighting into a religious group from outside of it, you're going to get increased aggressive expansion fighting them. The good news is that the Timurids, who are also Sunni, are simply too far away to care, and Batmanis are Shia, so they also don't care. So it's usually just these guys right here that are going to end up joining it, and Bengal, once you make Bengal mad enough. So simply keep these guys separated or target them individually, and you can pick them apart fairly well. However, they're also not likely to fire even if they do form a coalition, because unless they go hard quantity ideas, and I mean multiple of them do, or just Delhi or Jaunpur, you're going to be able to keep up with the entire coalition in terms of force limit. As you can see here, I'm able to have 40 guys in the field, and that is probably still with extra money to go over force limit, whereas that's pretty much everything they have. And then I also have Vijayanagar in the south, meaning they're not likely to fire because they're not likely to win. Add in the subjects, and it's even more so. So don't be too worried about these four. If you want to burn down the aggressive expansion quickly, you have improved relations here. You also have it in your advisors, and of course in your merchants. You should be burning down about 3.5 aggressive expansion per month, meaning these coalitions usually don't last long even if they do form. If you do have that diplomatic reputation advisor at the start, the deity you can end up picking is this aggressive expansion impact guy, which means they don't form a coalition at this point. So it's a lot easier if you have that diplomatic relations reputation guy, but you can't always have it. But that is your expansion to the north. If you want to expand to the south, you're not going to have a mission or permanent claims or anything like that to help you, but instead what you have is how Batmanis and Vijayanagar are built. You see, both of them are very large tags, they're strong tags, but they're filled with cores for other people. Not only do you have this guy up here to the north that you have cores for since the beginning of the game, but you also have Bara right here, which is another 5. You have this guy right here, Bijapur, which is about 7 in Batmanis. It's all of this right here, plus 4 along the coast of Vijayanagar, meaning there's a lot of development, but also just provinces there you can get fairly easily. And then over here you have Telangana, which usually will spread into this area. It looks like they lost their cores here because of Batmanis. Or you have Golconda here, which also has that, which then branches into Andhra. So if you haven't done Andhra yet, basically they reach into Vijayanagar quite deeply, which all of this is there, which you can get with favors since they're your ally. And then from there you have Karnataka, which goes even further south to Ginji. And then you have Ginji, which is only 2 provinces. But the other province in there is a Madurai core, meaning you're able to then spread to the furthest south tip of India. And you can do all of that with favors. So if you can get through Batmanis and get to Andhra, you can just start taking over half of Vijayanagar's land without any objection from them because it's your vassal's core. Just using favors over time. Now, eventually they will decide they want that land back and break their alliance with you, but at that point, they're going to be so weak and you're going to be so much stronger than them, what they want is completely irrelevant. And until that time, you're getting drastically reduced aggressive expansion, and on top of that, potentially no aggressive expansion for a lot of development and a lot of land. The last thing I can really tell you guys and advise you of is if they end up having rebels or if you release tags, they end up taking the government reform level that they have. So the Batmanis is a sultanate, the same as a kingdom. So is Jaunpur, so is Delhi, meaning they're going to be spit out as kingdoms, which is the same level that you are. But if you go through your mission tree and you get down to here, you become an empire. Meaning instead of conquering this land by reconquest of cores, you'll be able to have them spit these tags out and then diplomatically vassalize them because they should be Hindu because all of this land down here is Hindu. And they'll be willing to accept it for 0 aggressive expansion. So you don't have to take a province and then reconquer cores. You just get through your mission tree, become an empire by taking on the Sunni nations up here, attack Batmanis, and force them to release subjects entirely. And once you've done that, it's just easy, because then they'll just be willing to accept it. They're still difficult due to the amount of development they have, but once you have all of northern India, they really aren't that difficult. Meaning you're able to take all of the south stupidly quickly, and if you want to make it easier, you can even fight Batmanis now and make them spit out these tags now and come back later, because they'll get a plus 100 opinion with you just for making them release them as a tag, meaning you have great strong allies to the south that you can just pick up. But with all of that, you should be able to dominate as Mewar and take it in any direction you want. Not only can you play the normal meta, where you go quantity, economic, and then quality, etc., just to have that extremely high discipline to finish your mission tree, you can even go exploration, colonize the Spice Islands, colonize Australia, even go to South Africa and make it so the Europeans can't even get to India, let alone past South Africa, because they don't have the range. So there's a lot of things you can do as Mewar incredibly easily. Just be sure you keep an eye out for one tag in particular, and that is the Timurids. The Timurids are the ones most likely to be the annoying threat on your border. The Ottomans are too far away. By the time they reach you, you're going to be stronger than them, and the Mamluks are likely to be destroyed, and the Europeans, even if they do arrive, usually can't fight intercontinental. The Timurids will be right on your border. The thing is that if you start off the game and you're willing to and you want to, if you improve relations with them and they hate Delhi, and you hate Delhi, you can usually pick them up as an ally, and they will stay allied to you until you start heavily bordering them. Which means your north is secure, and this coalition is completely worthless, because usually the Timurids will come in to help you fight Delhi, coalition or not. They just don't care. So you should be more than capable of just dominating the subcontinent, just using that. With all of that said, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm definitely making more nation guides that will be coming out really soon. I'm also making mechanics guides that I'm going to be making soon, so if you want to see anything in particular when it comes to mechanics, whether that's trade, economy in general, what to colonize, what to go, what direction to go in, how to spend your monarch points, let me know in a comment below, because there's a lot of these I'm thinking of doing, but none I'm set on doing yet. So if you want to have something particular be done, let me know now. Otherwise, you're just going to have to watch whatever I make. But with all that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.